This is all about a really good triathlete that has come to me for some swim help, who's already posting some top performances, 30-minute 10K, sub 15-minute 5K running, really strong on the bike. He can ride with some of the best in the country. He's 19, but the big question mark is his swim. And without a competitive swim these days, you can't be a very competitive whole triathlete. So we're going to dive into the analysis. We're going to unpick his swim to see if there's some low-hanging fruit, some really easy wins to try get his critical swim speed down, so faster, because at the moment he's swimming 6 minutes 05 for 400 meters. And unfortunately his competition will be swimming all around 5 minutes or sub 5. So let's dive in, see what we can do. So front on shot under the water is very crucial to see what's happening with your catch. So the water is a little murky. Here you are entering your right hand, left hand. Let's get a bit closer with the camera. Okay. So really flat in the water, chest down, left hand's finishing its stroke here, right hand is entering, and as you rotate to breathe to your left, this elbow completely drops and misses the catch. Can you see that on the right, just here? Both hands are in front of the stroke at this point, which isn't at all ideal, so your timing's out. Left hand comes through, hand is dropping, elbows dropping, and is a very late catch. It's a good catch. It's about 90 degrees. We look for about 130 degrees. So the hand is more facing, the fingers facing the bottom of the pool here. No exhalation here. So you're holding onto your breath, which is creating more like a buoy in your chest environment, which is not great. Okay, still holding on there. Hand on the right enters, and you can see, if I just backtrack, got the brakes on there. So your hand is flat up against the water, putting the brakes on, there. You do a little scoop with the hand, which is inefficient, and then completely non-existent right catch. So that's why you're not getting any forward propulsion. So we've got some work to do there. I've not actually seen that before. Left hand completely vertical with your palm facing the wall. That hand should enter like a spear. So I'll be showing you some videos there. And you can see immediately here, when you breathe to your left, your right hand pushes out, your leg scissors to stabilize, and you finish the stroke. Breathing to your left, of course, we want to see what's happening with your leg kick, mainly under the water. So I'll pause there. So the right hand is completely dropped, no breathing out. If anything, it's just limited. Cause engage, but you've definitely got a downward drop of the body position, and this hand is on the brakes. You are forwarding looking just to see you going in a straight line. So we want to just basically see, yeah, there's a bit of a late exhale. Okay, so you're sinking with the front end of the stroke quite a lot. We've chatted about that afterwards, and you're completely aware of it. But now you are, because of that right hand acting as a brake. Left side should be a bit better. Okay, so this is, of course, breathing to your right. You don't favor that, so the whole head's coming out. So this is what we spoke about, this bow wave. If you lift your head out too much, so rotate too much of your body, the water obviously comes into your mouth. But if you only let out open, turn your head so one goggles out, your head actually creates a bow wave. So it's called Popeye spinach breathing. I'll get you to watch those videos. Taking a shot underwater now. there's quite a disconnect here from the hip and the legs in terms of you're not getting that hip extension, so the butt activating the leg kick, it's kind of coming from the lower limb, and then that left arm's completely dropping as you breathe. So a lot of that's due to timing of kick here, of power. That's why we use fins, breathing out really late, and we need to improve that completely. And then we moved on to just change that right hand of yours to try and improve your hand position and your awareness, and it was still dropping quite a bit. You can actually see the side shot really well of your right elbow collapsing completely. So you're entering while that other hand's in front of your stroke. So I think you've been doing a lot of catch-up drill. And here it goes there. Complete collapse and no power. So if we get that sorted, you will be swimming a hell of a lot quicker. Okay, there's another classic. 2 hands at the front of your stroke. That right hand should be spearing the water. That left hand should be down here. Okay, so we're going to strip that back to basic. So this was the 6-1-6 drill. Yeah. So this is the bird's eye view, looking down, top down, to see what's actually happening with your swim stroke. And we get a real sense of timing, crossover, rotation, etc. Okay, so you do some really good things with your hand entry in terms of, if we look at railway tracks, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, you aren't crossing the midline. It's just when you're breathing under the water, we saw that right hand crossing the midline to compensate for the breath and the head position. And so you can see you're getting basically a 90-degree rotation here, and you're doing that because you're not turning at the neck properly to breathe. You're lifting your whole head out the water. There we've spoken about both hands sort of at the front of the stroke at the same time. And here, this hand, you can see clearly that it's in the wrong position because that's dropping the elbow. As soon as you flatten that hand and be more of a spear, that elbow will drop, will lift up. So quite a wide entry with the right hand, the brakes on, the hand's turned outwards, and you can see it happening again. Very little rhythm here from the kick. I know you're swimming very slowly for this effort, but okay, so a little bit of a scissor kick here to help stabilize things. The kick is often a result of stabilizing. I just want to pause on the left stroke. Okay, so yeah, you're halfway through a catch and your right hand's coming over. So your timing is very far out. But overall, your left and right isn't terrible in terms of you're not crossing badly. I would say your left entry is way worse than your right. We're going to play this slowly. So really late exhale, which means you've got to turn your head longer for further to get more air in. Okay, so your left hand's finishing the stroke, not much hip rotation, elbow is down, right hand's doing its thing. Okay, there it's doing that swoop, and then your left hand's already entering the water. Left hand should enter the water only when the right hand's down by the hip. Okay. Again, that hand into there, massive bubble stream, loads of resistance. Okay, elbows dropping, lots of rotation to your right. Okay, so you've got the right idea by getting that elbow higher than the wrist and the shoulder higher, then that's great. We just need to slow down your timing for when that other hand enters and actually sort out that hand. So we've got lots of work there. Elbows dropped, so that's your catch under the water. You can really see that. And you see you've got this downward angle of the legs. Now you're light and small, not super muscular, so this your legs should be higher in the surface of the water, and we don't want this knee bend. So lots of ballet kicking and torpedo kicking to fire up the hip muscle, the glute. All right. And we've got to work on bubble, bubble, breathe mantra to get you going. Okay, so lots of good things to work on. I'm just going to do a little summary because it's quite important to take some real actionable steps straight away to try and get that low-hanging fruit and act upon it really quite quickly. You can have a great analysis, but if you don't know how to apply it, it's useless information. So the real positives are his fitness, we know is great because he's been going to the pool 5-6 times a week, just really ingraining bad habits. So this is what we're going to try and unpick. His body position in the water is adequate. He's a low muscle tone male, really light, so he's not going to be sinking. Okay, the first thing we have to do is sort out his breathing. He's holding onto his breath. We can't have that carbon dioxide building up in his lungs. It's like a buoy. The whole chest will just expand. We need to just relax that air out earlier in the stroke, which will affect his rhythm and timing. So we know that his hand entry is pretty poor, and at any given stroke he's got both hands in front of his head, where we know that the timing and the rhythm is poor, and it's more than likely linked with his breathing, his late exhalation and holding on to his breath. His alignment can improve. We can all work on this. So I'm going to bring him back to basics of side kicking with his left hand in front of him, side kicking with his right hand in front of him, really trying to focus on not having the brakes on, because at the moment he's swimming with his right hand brake on, which you saw from the analysis. And his propulsion will need to improve, and that is going to come from increased stroke rate. At the moment it's about 50-52 strokes per minute. Every time his hand enters the water we count. If he's slower than 60, he's just going to get spat out the back. A lot of the fastest swimmers are closer to 80-85 strokes per minute. So that's muscle firing. So great fitness, pretty good body position. His breathing needs work, which will affect his rhythm and his timing. The alignment of the body position in the water will improve his propulsion. Linked to that is his stroke rate. Before we even start on all this, we need to work on his shoulder mobility. So you saw in the images, I like to check on the dry land, see if the shoulder can withstand some basic range of motion tests, because if you can't get that on the dry land, how are we going to do it? Get the shoulder into position when you're on your side, especially when you're tired. So depending how quickly the body adapts, everyone's different. It can take some real time. We have to unpick this, spend less time in the water, slow everything down, work on these areas before we move into the catch phase, which is going horribly wrong on his right hand. Then his times will just decelerate. And if we pick up his stroke rate, that whole process will be super smooth. So we're going to do a recap in about 8 weeks and see how he's progressed. Okay, so now we have an action plan. It's improve flexibility in the shoulders and the thoracic before we even start. Swim every other day around 2,000 meters. Back to basics with breathing, back to basics with single arm and body alignment in the water, and develop a proper, powerful hip extension with torpedo kicking as an example to try and get really good rhythm with his stroke. And then we move on to the next phase.